Rainier Avenue Radio.
Here at Rainier Avenue Radio, we're all about people and community. If you listen to the wide variety of shows we have, you'll hear we try to have a little something for everyone. Much like PBS, we need the help of our people and our community to keep this pirate ship afloat. We've begun our summer campaign. From now to August 1st, we are asking for your support. Please visit RainierAvenueRadio.world and gift us your support. Look, I agree, we are living in weird times and it's getting rough out there. Maybe you're planning a summer trip with the family and you need your cash for you stuff. I get that. But if you dig in the couch or clean out under the driver's seat of your car, you'll find some coins. Even if you can donate $1 or $5, cool. Every dollar adds up and can help us at Rainier Avenue Radio keep doing what we're doing, bringing people, community, and art together. By helping us, even with as little as you can, you're helping us keep this party going. And who doesn't like a party? So let's get after it and let's get some shekels donated. On behalf of all the show hosts and everyone behind the scenes here at Rainier Avenue Radio, we thank you for your support.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, and all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Different rules apply when it gets this late, you know what I mean? It's like after hours.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
Hello, I'm an unpaid spokesman for DJ Sotovaci. I'd like to invite you to listen to his free-form music show. It's popular music the way it was never intended to be heard. Whatever gets you through the night, late nights, here on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Whatever gets you through the night.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME and a housing counselor stepped in, they talked to our lender, and saved our home. Because falling on hard times does not have to mean losing your home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio,
your community radio station.
Hello. Hey. Good evening. Hello, Brenda. How are you? That was
Good, John. How are you? You sound a lot better.
I feel a little bit better, but every time I hear that music, it just uplifts me because the true story is that's George Benson, a great guitarist, and I taught him everything he knows. Yeah, right.
You're such a comedian.
That's a bold-faced lie, but no, he's great. I just talked to Bob. He's on his way. He's over to the office. I sent his his link to the wrong email, so that was my fault. So okay, Bob, so Roberto is here. Robert is come
John,
on in, Bob. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
John, before you go on, we need to take care of some housekeeping item.
Sure, I know we're doing a fundraiser, right?
No, we're not doing a show next week on the 4th of July.
Oh, no, we're not.
And that's what Daniel wants to know. So I told him not me. So Daniel, officially, we are not doing our show next Tuesday.
But we're
have
gonna
a
have
good weekend. I mean, have a good evening.
Yeah, instead of the 4th, we're going to have a 5th. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Anyway, where is Robert?
He's here. Robert.
Show yourself.
There he is. The one and only, Robert, I got to make a confession. I'm sorry. I tell when you said send the email, I had already sent it to your general email, not your specific email. And then I also have to apologize. I can only get that part of your logo on my screen, which is on my green screen, but it's close enough, right?
Yep, that definitely is. I apologize myself. I was coming from a meeting and I ran out and I forgot my computer. And then when I got back to the office here, I'm locked out of the office. I just found out the elevator shut down and somebody had broken the door. So they braced the door shut. So I can't get in. So I'm sitting in the parking lot chatting with you.
So are you on a phone or a computer?
I am on the phone.
Well, it looks really clear because we've had a bunch of problems with people on phones, but that's great. I'm glad you got it.
I'm glad this one's working. And then I actually go by Bob. I don't know if I typed Robert in the thing. I go by Bob. So.
Okay, Bob. Not Robert. We'll call you Bob. And guess what? They call me John. I don't know what that means. Whatever.
No confusion there.
But Bob, thank you very much. It's a small world. Teresa's family I've been knowing for many years,
Yeah.
When I got introduced to her, and I said, oh my gosh. And then I said, oh, the name Luciano, that is a wonderful name. But I think is that not Italian in origin or Spanish? Yeah.
That's Italian in origin.
Yeah. And this is my co-host, the illustrious, Don't Tell Her No Lie, Brenda Charles Edwards, who hosts a great show called Seniors Matter, because when you go on the internet, at least in our area, there's very few programs that deal with seniors matter, senior matters. But that's not the aspect of the show. But I wanted to invite you to come. There it is, Seniors Matter. And my goodness. Yeah, it's a great show. Only because I've been on it a couple of times, but that's another story. The ratings went. And like I said, my show is Seattle Here and Now on Thursdays, 6 to 7, an award-winning show. And I'll just make a confession. I gave myself an award, so I can say it's an award-winning show. So, that's how that works.
Bob, how well do you know John?
I've met him before, but not very well. My wife knows him a little bit better based on their family history, and they've had coffee together a couple of times. And my wife loves to tell stories, and
so does John.
So I think they get along really well. And as John mentioned, he knows my wife's family, the Mizuki family, and was knew the nursery and visited the
Mizuki nursery right there on ML King. Remember, Brenda? They used to have a nursery right on ML King.
Yes.
Just before you got to Graham. But the show is about the Rainier Valley Community Development Fund, but I always like to give a background. Your family, your family, your wife's family, etc. And you're transplanted from Massachusetts to someplace like that?
Correct. So I'm actually, I have an Italian last name, but I am by heritage I am Black and Irish. So I was adopted into an Italian dad and Irish mom family back in Boston.
Yeah, whenever I think of those two groups, I think of the big C word. Conflict.
Yes, yep. So my adoptive parents, they had 2 natural children, and then they had adopted another girl and another son. They were all white, but they always took in foster babies and unwed mothers, and so about 10 years. So I'm 10 years the junior to my closest sibling. They had heard my story. I was in this, growing up in a suburb of Boston, 10 minutes from downtown. But when I was adopted the first time, I had an Italian last name, and my birth name was John DiPioli, because that was the husband of my birth mom, the ex-husband of my birth mom, who was Irish. I was adopted, and I was adopted during the summer, and they had me for about a couple of months, and I got real dark. And they realized as my hair started to curl, heck, this little boy's not Italian like we thought. And so they gave me back. And so I was fortunate enough did by Nick Luciano and Mary Sullivan.
That's beautiful.
Had a wonderful life.
That's a great story. So you had a suburb. Well, I know a little bit about Boston. You got Roxbury. You got you got the combat zone downtown. You got Scully Square, that kind of stuff. And my daughter did a movie for Apple TV in Boston for about 8 months. She was there. Spirited on Apple TV Plus. You can watch it anytime if you have Apple TV Plus. And if you don't, subscribe to it for 2 weeks and then cancel it, and you won't have to pay for it. But it's a movie with Ryan Reynolds, Octavia Spencer, and Will Ferrell, and it's the gas. It's funny as heck. And of course, when you think of Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer, it's a great show. But that isn't about her. It isn't about, in a sense, you. But you took over Rainier Valley Community Development Fund, Wayne Law, and I don't know of any other director before Wayne. But when I talked to Brenda, I said, let's bring them in, because even though they're not particularly in Columbia City, you guys support so many businesses in Columbia City and the Southeast. And that's why I wanted you to come in and just, give us the whole skinny about what RC, our Rainier Valley RVCDCF, whatever, kind of thing. Rainier Valley Community Development Fund does. I know I'm getting tongue tied.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. My background is a commercial banking background. I spent 25 years with Bank of America, and then a couple more years with another, kind of mid-sized commercial bank, and finally just kind of hit the wall and said, I need to do something that feeds the heart a little bit more than that. And I happened to have a banking friend who knew Wayne, and at that time he was looking for a banker, and I was fortunate enough to interview with him, and he said, "Oh, come on board." And for me, it's such a pleasure and great fit. I've lived in the area. I just live right over here in Lake Ridge, or Lakeview, right by the community center, up by the old PCC. I've lived there for 20 years, and my first house was right behind Safeway up on 38. So, longtime resident of the area. And I've seen the massive growth and change in the area, and it's a mixed blessing. Change and growth is always a mixed blessing, and I think especially for our small businesses here in the area, and that's really what we focus on. It's trying to go ahead and preserve those legacy businesses. Give those folks the opportunity to stay and work to develop programs and partnerships that can help them stay in the area. Because as you see with all this growth, and both in the mixed use properties, both affordable and market rate housing, a lot of times the single story plazas and Class C and Class D commercial space is being torn down in lieu of these high rises, all which have commercial space on the bottom, which is lovely. But then they say, okay, well, yeah, we'll go ahead and kind of give you a little bit of a break on the lease, but you can go ahead and build the space out. And so obviously for a small business, especially today with the construction, to come up with $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to build out just that, and that's just office space, not even, that's not the price of a restaurant. It's very, very challenging, and that's, I think, part of the reason why you see a lot of a lot of this commercial space still vacant, and that's just not good for the area. So what we try to do is oftentimes we're trying to work with the City of Seattle Office of Economic Development. They're coming out with some innovative programs that where they're able to come into a project, grant funds to the business. The business comes in with some of their money, and then we come in with our financing. And so in a partnership like that, and then what we also do, we look for the community support of the business association, and then we really kind of lean on that landlord to kind of step up to the plate. And whether it's making some really meaningful concessions in the lease, or improving the amount of TI allowance that the new tenant will receive. And from the landlord's perspective, they are they see what we're bringing to the table. Our financing, the breadth of what the city and the Office of Economic Development has to offer, the support of the business association.
TI meaning tenant improvement. That's what
tenant
that stands
improvement. Yeah. Yep. Tenant improvement.
You got a bunch of novices right here.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess
so the landlord has to help. The landlord has to kick in for some of that build out as well. So they're willing to kind of lean in a little bit further and be a little bit more generous there, because they're looking and saying, hey, this tenant, we may have to stretch, but the money the extra money that we would dole out, with all the support that they have, we feel that they're going to have a better chance to do well in that space.
Yeah.
And for them and for everybody, that's a win-win, because the last thing that the landlord wants is, somebody in there for 12 months.
Turnover. You can't have turnover. You have
very,
to have
very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. That's a good point. So how do so Rainier Valley Community Development Fund serves the Rainier Valley, but like I said, we concentrate on Columbia City, because I know you. Yep. We've had Pagliacci Pizza. We had Theo on with Island Soul. There are a number of small businesses that are in Andaluz is there, which is a multi, I guess you could say a very eclectic store. We had Alchemy, the organic hairdressing company. We had Amazon, Emma, the barbecue place and stuff like that. So when you go out and you see what's going on in Columbia City, and I just got to be honest, gentrification is really putting its signature on our community. Some people say good, some people say bad. I say gentrification will harm our community if we're building however high the building may be, and people can't afford to rent or lease the properties there. That it just defeats the whole purpose of it. Sure. It just boggles the mind that people don't realize that footprint has a significant impact, not only for residents, but for also businesses. Gentrification has an impact on local businesses, especially when you talk about ethnic businesses. And you know that, Brenda, that when the population changes and the neighborhood changes, so goes the businesses. They leave the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember growing up in Madrona, and when we first moved up there, we were the only, we were the only Black family. And then a little bit later, another family moved in, and then another moved in, and then the Jewish residents at that time moved out. And now it's back to there's only two African-American families in that same corridor, and the rest is Caucasian Americans. So it's just kind of it's just kind of interesting to see in my lifetime how the cycles changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we see that quite a bit. Obviously, me being in the neighborhood for 30 years has definitely seen the change. And again, just there's it cuts both ways. You want those legacy businesses to be able to stay. You want the residents to be able to stay. And so you don't want to have that people be pushed out. Another part of our business besides the small business lending that we do is we work with affordable housing developers, such as Mump Acre Housing, Bellwether. And so we help provide some of the pre-development funds that go into planning some of those communities, as well as we help funds to help tie up certain maybe a site for their next project. Because we realize there's such a need here in Seattle for affordable housing.
Yep.
But at the same time, you need both, right? You need both, especially for the small businesses. Unfortunately, Seattle, as the reports over the past couple of weeks have stated, have some of the highest inflation in the country. So the cost of doing business in Seattle for small business is very, very expensive. It's gone way up. And so you do need, you need that both cross section of incomes, right, in the area to go ahead and be able to support all the businesses, small ethnic businesses, Pagliacci's, everyone.
Yeah, right.
We have to have that. We have to have that mix. We have to have that mix, and that's a very important piece. I'm talking to my businesses. Theo is a client of ours. La Medusa. We helped her purchase the building. There's been so many of those clients down there. Empire Espresso.
Right.
Over in Hillman City, 3 or 4 clients over there. So that is squarely right where we, right where we live. Right
your
where we
catchment,
live.
your catchment area is the Rainier Valley, and and that would include Columbia City and Hillman City.
Yep. We stretch. So our territory, we have a very, very narrow kind of swath of, in terms of a lending area. So we really start at the I-90 lid and go south along Rainier and MLK, down through Rainier Beach, around the corner to say about where Jude's is. That street there. And then we are probably 3 or 4 blocks. It's kind of strange if you look at our big map when it was ever plotted out. We're about 3 or 4 blocks east of Rainier and 3 or 4 blocks west of MLK. So anything inside that area, that's really our segment. So,
and excuse me, Brenda, but I've got to ask this. I want to open up a business. I've never done this before. I know you guys provide, assistance in that way too. You turn me over to somebody who has that business experience and all that.
Yep.
But let's say I have a business plan that's destined to be great. All the things in line. I have a certain amount of resources, and I come to you. What is the turnaround time to get a loan and to get finance? That kind of. What is the package going to take in terms of time?
Yeah, so a lot of it's really kind of the timing on which we get that complete package, right?
Okay.
So our process is, the third week of the month, our loan committee meets, and depending on the size of the loan, whatnot, it would first go to loan committee, and then everything over, say, $100,000, then if the loan committee approves it, then it will go on, or recommends it for approval, then it will go on to the full board the following week.
Okay.
For the full board to go ahead and approve.
Mm.
And so, a lot of it again depends on the timing in which that package comes in, because once it comes in, we give you the laundry list of all the documentation that we need.
Okay.
And you put that together, and then when it comes in, then we have to digest it. So then we have to bring it in and look at your plan and study your projections. Look at what you're bringing to the table from a financial perspective. Okay, hey, how much is John putting into this thing, or is he asking us to fund this whole business to him? Because we want you to have some skin in the game too, right?
Oh yeah.
And so we look at all that. We do a write-up and kind of synopsis of everything, and then that's what we then go and present to our loan committee. And then they go in and they weigh in, and they may have questions that we would go back to you on, John, or and then they would give either a recommendation or say, hey, there's not enough here, based on X, Y, and Z.
I got you.
Yep. So from an underwriting perspective, we are a CDFI, so our underwriting criteria, it's nowhere near as stringent as my underwriting criteria would have been over at Bank of America or commercial banks. So we do have the flexibility to kind of, since we're not federally regulated, we have the ability to go ahead and be flexible if we can find merit maybe in another form or fashion, whether it's the character, whether it's some other piece of the puzzle that maybe some of the commercial banks can't really lean on because their policies are so stringent, which they actually have to be, because oftentimes they're lending in multi-states or across the country nationally. So if they do it in one place, they got to do it over there. They got to look at something else the same way.
Well,
so
heavily regulated, man.
Heavily regulated. So we are able to kind of, if we truly believe and we have that intimate knowledge of where that business is starting, and saying, hey, in this area, I know John's business is going to take off. I know it is, and so we have that type of flexibility within our guidelines.
That's kind of cool. So you operate while you have your governing body is your board of directors, right?
Correct.
And you respond to them. And do you mind sharing who they are, if they don't mind? Your board of directors.
Right? Yeah, sure. So let's see. Our president. We just got very recently, last week or so, some new board members. But Albertus Brooks is our president. Mandy Landa is our treasurer. Cleotis Floyd is our secretary. Richard Cassell, who is a new member, he's just stepped into the role of our vice president. Paul Tupper, who is one of the owners of On the Coffee. He is a board member. Let me see here. I have to go down. I have to go down the list in my mind. Rudy Castillo is a board member and also head of our loan committee. Ephraim. I can't remember Ephraim's last name. Ephraim, he is the owner of Boon Boona Coffee.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he is the owner of Boon Boona Coffee. Wonderful gentleman. He is on our loan committee as well. And I believe that is it.
Well, unfortunately, there's so
Marlon
many more.
Turner. Excuse me, Marlon Turner.
Okay.
As well.
Well, I just got the times up signal from Dan, and because you guys are actually physically moving your location
Yes,
a little bit farther north, right off of where
we're at the corner of McClellan and MLK in the
right
North building. So that's the new Mount Baker Housing Affordable
right there
project right there. So we'll be moving into the ground floor towards the
near
big lot.
Franklin High School, which is
Correct. Yeah.
not my favorite place because I went to Garfield, but that's another story. Bob, thank you very much, and kind of I apologize to Brenda because I'm just wearing you out on stuff because I have a billion questions. We got times up, but I certainly would love to bring you back again because
I would
again,
love to.
yeah, your organization is doing a lot to uplift our community that got really hit hard with the pandemic. And those businesses, that's what the beauty is. Those businesses that are there now were they able to make it through. And I know that you were instrumental in helping them. So thank you very much. Any
That's my
final comment, real quick, Brenda? I'm sorry I let you have your last word in, Brenda. She may be looking at another thing, but Bob, thank you very much. I will be in touch. I'm going to come and visit you at your new digs. Bob Robert Williams is the one who's on your staff. Told me about that. So I'm going to say goodbye, and Brenda's going to say goodbye, and we will be talking to you in the future again when you make that move. Okay?
You got it. You got it. I would love to be on again, and I'll definitely have better lighting next time.
So
Yeah.
nice to meet you, Bob.
Pleasure meeting you as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Catch your show on Friday, 12:30 to 1 on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. All right. Take care,
Good
Bob.
night.